Yo guys, what is up? Max for Diablo 4 video, and today we're going over my updated Druid leveling guide for Season 1. Now, I put out a leveling guide for Druid for Season 0, and people really liked it. I got a ton of positive feedback on that, so I appreciate that. It's what prompted me to make a 2.0 version of this, because not only is Landslide going to be, in my opinion, still the best leveling skill for Druid, but it also just got a brand new aspect, and that aspect reads, Poison Creepers active also cast Landslide in a circle around you. Earth skills deal 20% increased damage to poison enemies. Now, we're able to get this aspect around level 10 or so. The season journey, you're going to get this guaranteed from the part 1 of the season journey, in where you need to collect some Galavine. You need to clear like one dungeon. The requirements for getting this are really low, and we can have it for our entire leveling journey, and it's going to make Landslide even better. The focus of this guide is to give you a step-by-step instructions to get Landslide and Druid, not only through 1 through 50, but also set you up through success to be unlocking World Tier 4. Landslide is one of the best early skills because it gives guaranteed crit. We're going to be able to scale up a ton of crit damage on this, and it's going to be even better with this new aspect. So I hope you guys enjoy this step-by-step guide for leveling a Druid in Season 1. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to be walking you through point by point how we're going to be leveling this Poison Landslide Druid, and we'll stop at certain level marks to go and do specific dungeons to pick up legendary aspects for this build that are really going to improve our damage. So we're starting with Storm Strike. Storm Strike is a fantastic basic attack. It's going to give us damage reduction, which is really nice early, and it'll chain to multiple enemies, giving us some AoE damage. And then we're going to grab the chance for Storm Strike to immobilize. Putting 2 points here unlocks our core skills, and we're going to be going into Landslide. Landslide is a really strong Earth skill that does great single target damage. We're going to grab a point into making it being able to immobilize enemies, and then we're grabbing Primal Landslide. Now, Primal Landslide is really important to understand for how to deal the most damage on this build. Primal Landslide reads, when you immobilize or stun an enemy, you gain a Terra Mote. Each enemy hit by Landslide consumes a Terra Mote, causing a guaranteed critical strike with 40% critical strike damage. Bosses always have up to a 10% chance to grant a Terra Mote when hit. Now, the reason this is so good is because at level like 6 or level 2 at this point, you're going to have something that is going to guarantee crit, and we've got a crit damage multiplier already. These are things that are really hard to come by super early, so we don't need to worry about crit chance on this build because we've got guaranteed crits with our Terra Motes. Next up, we're going to come up to our Storm Strike and grab Fierce Storm Strike. This is going to give us a 50% chance when we hit enemies to make them vulnerable, which at base is going to be another 20% damage multiplier for us, and that unlocks our defensive skills here. Now, we are going to be grabbing Blood Howl. The reason we're going to grab Blood Howl is because it's going to give us healing early on, which is really nice. When we kill enemies, we get cooldown with it, and it also generates Spirit for us. Spirit is definitely going to be one of the issues that Druid encounters early, and we're going to try to fix that with the points that we put into this build. No, we don't need crit chance against close enemies because we've got guaranteed crits with Primal Landslide. We need 2 more points down to get down to Poison Creeper, and we're going to be putting those into Landslide to pick up another like 20% damage for our Landslide. Note, we're not going to want to grab Wild Impulses early. This is going to give us more damage with our core skills, but it's going to cost more to cast, and we just don't have the resource economy yet to really be using that. Now we've got our companion skills, and we're going to be using Poison Creeper. Now, Poison Creeper is fantastic for this build, one, because of our new aspect, but also because it's going to immobilize enemies in a massive area. You can hit 10 enemies with Poison Creeper, and then you're going to get 10 Terra Motes, which means your next 10 casts of Landslide are going to all be guaranteed critical strikes. So you're going to want to go up to a large group of enemies, hit them with a Poison Creeper, and then cast your Landslide. We're going to grab more immobilized duration, and because we don't need the crit chance from Brutal Poison Creeper, we're going to grab Ferocious Poison Creeper. This is going to give us more damage with Poison Creeper, and it's going to really help when we get down to our Envenom passive, which we'll talk about in a second. Now we need 2 more points to get down to here, and we're going to finish by putting a point into Earthen Bulwark, which is going to give us a barrier, and we're going to also grab the point that makes Earthen Bulwark give us Unstoppable. We now have a way to break CCs. If you ever get CC'd, you can just cast Earthen Bulwark and you'll break out of it. Next, we're going to grab 1 point into Neurotoxin. Our poison will slow enemies, and then we're going to grab Envenom. Poisoned enemies take 30% additional critical strike damage. This is going to be fantastic when we pair it with our Poison Creeper, because Poison Creeper will cast Landslide for us with our aspect that we're going to have on, and it's also going to deal, those landslides will deal more damage because all of those enemies are going to be poisoned. Next up, we're going to grab 3 points into Crushing Earth. Our Earth skills will deal increased damage to slowed, stunned, immobilized, or knocked back enemies, which is going to play into the aspect that we're about to go grab. At this point, you should be level 19 if you started with Renown, and level 24 if you started with no Renown, and we're going to take a break to go do 2 particular dungeons. Now, the first dungeon is the Stockades dungeon in Skosglen. That is going to reward you with the aspect of the Crash Stone. This aspect reads, Earth skills deal 60 to 80% more critical strike damage to crowd-controlled enemies. And remember, we already have guaranteed crits, and we're going to be hitting enemies with a lot of CCs. Our Poison's going to CC enemies because it's going to be a slow. We've got a bunch of immobilized, and we're also going to want to do the dungeon Feral's Den in Skosglen. Feral's Den in Skosglen is also going to reward us with the aspect damage from Earth skills slows enemies hit by 25%. Now, all of the abilities that we're going to be using have a form of CC or slow, all of our offensive abilities, and we're going to constantly be getting a massive more damage multiplier against them with the Crash Stone. This is going to really set you up for success. Now, one thing to note is I do have my aspect on my weapon. If you can put it on your amulet or your rings, that's going to be even better, just because you're going to want to be swapping your weapon out a lot as you level up, and leave your weapon slot open, because that's going to be one of the biggest things that's going to contribute to your damage, so you don't want to get stuck using a low level weapon. Next up, we're going to be picking up our ultimate. Now, I've got a choice of a few different ultimates, but what I think is best for this build is Petrify. Petrify is going to stun enemies and give us a massive crit damage multiplier, 30% more crit damage against normal enemies, and 50% against bosses. This is going to be really helpful for our boss kills and just stunning a bunch of enemies. We're also going to get Prime Petrify. Petrify's effects duration are increased by 1 second, and Supreme Petrify, killing an enemy affected by Petrify, grants 25 spirit. This is also going to really help us out with Spirit Sustain. Now we've got 7 points to spend to get down to our Keystone passive, and we're going to be spending a few points to round out our build at this point. So first, we're going to put 2 points into Landslide. This is going to give us the maximum amount of damage that we could get from our Landslide skill, and we're going to be putting some points into Poison Creeper. We're going to put 2 there. Note we got to spend 3 more points here. We're going to, real quick, also respec from Bloodhowl. Bloodhowl is really great, but we're going to stop needing it around this point and instead go into Trample. Trample is going to give us another form of Unstoppable. It's going to knock back enemies and stun them, deal a ton of single target damage. It's got a movement component, so it's going to help us get around faster, and it's going to give us 20 spirit, so that's going to solve our issue of the Bloodhowl giving us spirit. And now that we've respec that, we've still got 3 more points we need to spend, so we're going to round out our Poison Creeper, put 2 points there and 1 point into Call of the Wild. This is going to maximize the damage from our Poison Creeper and also give us more damage with it via the Call of the Wild node. And that leads us to our Keystone passive. Now, originally when I made this guide, I took Earth and Might, and Earth and Might is really nice. It has a chance to restore all of our spirit, which feels really great. However, it is a lucky hit chance, and right now on our character, while we're leveling, we're level 34 without any Renown, and under level 30 with Renown. We just don't really have any sources of lucky hit, so we are going to be taking the Earth and Might passive later, but we're going to grab Nature's Fury first. This reads, casting a Earth skill has a 30% chance to trigger a free Storm skill of the same category. In addition, casting a Storm skill has a 20% chance to cast a free Earth skill of the same category. What this allows us to do is whenever we use Petrify, we have a chance to proc Cataclysm. Whenever we use our Landslide, we can proc Lightning Storms or Tornadoes. And I found in testing that just the free raw damage that Nature's Fury provides is going to be a little bit better than the extra spirit and crit chance that Earth and Might provides, because obviously we already crit all the time, and the spirit is a bit of an issue, but we just don't have the lucky hit to make this worth yet. So now we're level 35 or 30, and we're going to take a break to go do a few more aspect grabs. Now that we're around level 30, we're going to grab 2 aspects that are going to be really nice for us. The first one is in the Seaside Descent in Dry Steppes, and it's going to give us 20% more damage with our core skills based on our amount of Fortify, And we're also going to grab the aspect of the Mending Stones. This is found in the Sealed Archives in Dry Steppes. This is around Act 3. That's going to extend the duration of Earthen Bulwark and allow us to replenish it. Now we've got another damage multiplier based on our Fortify, and we're going to go back into our skill tree and grab some things that are going to give us more Fortify. To start, we're going to grab Preserving Earthen Bulwark. This is going to give us 18% of our base life as Fortify. That's going to be really nice. Then we're going to grab Safeguard. Critical strikes with Earth skills fortify us for 7% of our base life. And we're also going to grab Stone Guard. While we have Fortify for over 50% of our maximum life, our Earth skills are going to deal 12% increased damage. All of a sudden now, we've got a whole nother layer of defense and a whole nother layer of offense, picking up a bunch of Fortify things and that Crashstone aspect to deal more damage while we're fortified, get more damage with our Earth skills while we're fortified, and new ways to generate Fortify. And then we're also going to pick up Defensive Posture. This is going to increase the amount of Fortify we get from all sources. This is going to lead to a lot more survivability and a lot more defense on this build. For the Deer node, we're going to be taking Wariness. This is going to give us reduced damage from elites. We're taking, in the Eagle, Avian Wrath, more crit damage. We've got guaranteed critical strikes. In the Wolf node, we're obviously grabbing Pack Leader. And in the Snake node, we're going to be grabbing Obsidian Slam. Every 20th kill will cause your next Earth skill to overpower. Not the greatest choice here, but we don't really benefit from anything else quite yet. And then we're going to be doubling up in the Wolf node to grab Energize. Dealing damage has a 15% chance to restore 10 Spirit. This is just really nice because one of our biggest issues early on is going to be getting Spirit. If you are not having Spirit issues, you can go into Calamity here, extend the duration of our ultimate skills so that we get more damage with Petrify. But if you are having any Spirit issues, make sure you go Energize. And lastly, we're going to be rounding out our build. We're going to put 2 more points into Call of the Wild. This is going to give our companion skills more damage, aka Poison Creeper, more damage. We're also going to be coming up here now to grab 1 point into Heart of the Wild and 3 points into Wild Impulses. This is going to give us more damage with our core skills. We should have pretty good spirit management at this point, so we should be fine to grab that. We are also going to be coming down here to put 1 point into Defiance. This doesn't really help us, but we are going to grab Natural Disaster for our Earth skills, dealing increased damage to vulnerable enemies. At this point, we're going to be level 50, just to round out the build so that we can push into some harder content. We're going to be grabbing Earth and Might. At this point, you should be grabbing Lucky Hit Chance on your gear. And then we've got 4 more points to spend. We're going to be putting 3 points into Nature's Rage. This is going to give us increased damage to distant enemies. Distant is a little bit misleading. Anything that isn't in melee range is considered as distant. So we're going to be doubling this bonus against anything that's immobilized or stunned or slowed, which is basically everything that we're doing. So it's in our 18% damage for this build. And then we've got 1 point left that you could really just put anywhere. I'm probably going to put that last point into Nature's Resolve, a chance to fortify whenever we're struck. It's just going to give us more fortify generation, and that is the build guide. To round out the build, we're going to be putting the aspect of Disobedience on our helmet to give us more armor and more survivability. You can find this in the Halls of the Damned in Kyrgyzstan. On our boots, we're going to be putting the Ballistic aspect. When you have Fortify, your Earth skills gain +2 ranks, another 20% damage for our Earth skills. We're going to be grabbing the aspect of the Trample to Earth. Now, these two are both like wishlist aspects. If you can't get these, that's totally fine. There is no dungeon to get these from, but they're going to give us a massive amount of damage on this build. Trample now summons 6 Landslide Pillars of Earth during its duration that deals 70 to 80% normal damage. Trample is also now a nature and a Earth skill. And then we can also grab the aspect of the Aftershock. Landslides Earth Pillars each strike a second time and deal additional bonus damage per hit. These two together are going to give us a massive amount of damage that's going to help us push into World Tier 4 content. On our weapon slot, we're probably going to be using the Poison Creeper Cast Landslide. I'm not sure at this moment if that's a defensive aspect, a utility aspect, or an offensive aspect, so not sure where it would fit. But another thing that we could also put on is the aspect of Natural Balance, which, casting a Storm skill, our basic attack, is going to give us 45% more crit damage with our Earth skills, such as Landslide. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. That is going to do it for the leveling guide. I hope you enjoyed. This Landslide Druid can transition into a late game Nightmare Dungeon class if you grab the Great Staff of the Crone and pair that with the chest piece, which gives you cooldown reduction whenever you proc a free skill. The Crone Staff is going to constantly proc free skills. You constantly get your cooldowns back, and then you can instant spam Trample over and over again and spam Bulwark over and over again, and it just leads to a really powerful build. However, Landslide is not the strongest like end game Druid build. So the point of this guide is not to give you the best end game build, but it's to give you a guide to set you up for success for season 1 so that you can transition into stronger later game builds. And this build should set you up for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth walkthrough, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.